Well, that was dark as shit. Episode 3 of Marvel's What If Earth Lost Its Mightiest Heroes has officially aired on Disney Plus, and I definitely didn't see that coming. I hope kids are prepared to be scarred for life, because trust me, it's gonna have that effect. Episode 3 was great, and if Marvel are truly considering doing horror, yeah, this is a pretty good start. In all seriousness, this is very much a murder mystery slash whodunit. The mystery being who killed the Avengers. I'm just gonna lead with that aspect of this episode because of just how shocked and surprised I was. An entire episode about the Avengers getting murdered over the course of Fury's big week is not something I was expecting to see. As heartbreaking as it was watching most if not all the original 6 Avengers slowly being picked off one by one, I thought all the deaths were suitably shocking and at times pretty freaking gruesome. I gasped aloud when Hulk blew up like a balloon, and I found myself close to shaking in fear when Black Widow was just being thrown around like a rag doll in that library. I usually don't like it at all when shock value is used in anything, but in this case I'm willing to make an exception, primarily because of the implications the character deaths actually had for this dimension's timeline. With the original 6 members mostly dead, of course it would be pretty easy for Loki to invade with Asgard's forces, and with Thor dead, it makes sense that Lady Sif and the Warriors 3 would actually team up with Loki, as Thor's death would have been enough to motivate them into joining Loki's invasion force. This is a really dark episode, but it was fascinating seeing what would actually happen if the Avengers weren't present to stop Loki's takeover of Earth. The scene where Loki broadcasts his speech to the whole world, repeating his speech from the first Avengers movie where he says humans crave subjugation, was chilling. This variant of Loki actually did it. He took over the Earth, and now humans will be forced to live under his iron fist. But the ending of this episode also got me excited for what the future of this timeline could potentially hold. Seeing as how Nick Fury called Captain Marvel back and Hank Pym wasn't able to kill Captain America as he was still frozen in the ice at that point, could we see an episode next season or even this season when Nick Fury, Steve Rogers, and Carol Danvers are leading a resistance against, I assume, King Loki? Cause that would be freaking awesome. I also think the episode works as a pretty entertaining whodunit. The mystery surrounding the identity of the Avengers killer was actually really enrapturing, and I found the story's progression to be really thrilling. Like the first episode, it took scenes we all knew but took them in completely different directions, and like episode 2, the changes in continuity resulted in huge changes for the timeline, so it kind of felt like the best of both worlds in that regard. The different stuff they did with the familiar stuff was really cool, and the new stuff was also pretty dope. I also loved the reveal that Hank Pym was the murderer. It was definitely a wise choice, hiding the fact that this episode's what if scenario is Hope, aka Wasp, becoming a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and dying in the field of battle. As soon as Widow said it's all about Hope, I knew instantly it had to be Hank Pym, and I was right. That said, it didn't make the reveal any less cool. Seeing a deranged Hank Pym driven so insane by the loss of not only his wife but now his daughter that he becomes Yellow Jacket, and a serial killer at that, was terrifying. Seeing the little fecker crawl out of Hawkeye's ear, flying through Hulk's bloodstream and enlarging his heart to the point where he exploded. No, seriously, I'm not going to be able to sleep for weeks. Even though he only truly appears once, he was a truly terrifying villain, and it really demonstrated the horrible things that the Pym particles could be used for if put in the wrong hands. And Michael Douglas, as expected, absolutely nailed it. It was great to see a detective story in which Nick Fury was the lead. Not only was Samuel Jackson great, as usual, but seeing him in a leading role, I feel, was a great taster for the Secret Invasion series, as Nick Fury is one of the leads of that show, and watching this episode actually got me more excited by the idea of an entire show led by Nick Fury. It was really interesting to see what Nick Fury would do in a desperate situation, even going as far as to team up with Loki. I also enjoyed seeing Black Widow again. Initially it took a little time to get used to not hearing Scarlett Johansson's voice, but I got used to it, and I thought Lake Bell did a really good job in the role. I absolutely loved seeing Tom Hiddleston play Loki again. He's always a treat. The scene where he helps Nick Fury capture Hank Pym was great, and I really enjoyed seeing Betty Ross again. Kudos to Stephanie Panisello because she was great, and also apologies if I mispronounced your name. As for issues, I did find the comedy in this episode to be very off, but not like in episode 1 where I just didn't find it funny. I just thought the jokes were not only just not funny, but very, very oddly placed. The strangest one being the joke about Thor's hair. I didn't find it that funny initially, but when it was followed up by Coulson sniffing the hair on Thor's corpse, I found that not only very creepy, but also incredibly out of character for Coulson. This may be more of a nitpick, but I did find this episode to be visually bland. The animation is still great in this one, and maybe it's because this episode came out right after the T'Challa Star-Lord episode, where I absolutely loved the visuals, but I just felt that the bland color choices and lighting made the episode look kind of boring in comparison to the last two episodes. On the whole, it was a pretty cool episode. Definitely the darkest thing Marvel has ever done so far, but I'm digging it. More please! I really hope this dimension gets revisited in some way, because I think a story where Nick Fury, with the help of Steve Rogers and Carol Danvers, forms a resistance to take down King Loki would be awesome. Regardless though, this was a really good episode, and I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. So that was my review of episode 3 of Marvel's What If. Thank you so much as always for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Before I go though, I would just like to ask you guys, what did you think of episode 3? Did you think it was good? Did you think it was bad? Did you think it was somewhere in the middle? Please leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and I will indeed see you guys in the next one. Until next time, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you always.